And we're rolling. Hey weirdos, it's day 9 of Show Up Weird, and today is Show and Tell, which I got a little nervous and overexcited about because, I'm a neurodivergent goblin brain and I like to collect things. I like shiny objects, and I took show and tell way too seriously as a kid, like way too seriously. Choosing the right object to bring in, and like if you thought it was super special and the kids in your classroom were like, that is heartbreaking to, a little collector's heart. But today I chose this clapboard that I got at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida in the late 90s. And this is where I got it is not the interesting thing. How I got it, the crazy dotted line way in which I procured this clapboard that has been in my office ever since I had an office to put it in. Is hilarious. It's just a ridiculous and hilarious story that I'm happy to share with you today. So this was the late 90s. I was working in retail, which, does anybody remember Garden Botanica? I was working at Garden Botanica in the Orlando Fashion Square Mall. And I'll tell you, I loved that company and I loved that store. And I might still be working retail if that company was still around. Curse you, Bath and Body Works, for killing them. But I was late one night closing up the store. And I was by myself because it was a tiny little store, so I didn't always need somebody there to close with me. And so I was closing up the store, and what I frequently did was listen to the local radio station. So there is a local DJ. I forgot his name for a second. I had to look it up because he DJs over here in the Tampa Bay area now. But he was in Orlando at 104.1 at the time, and it's Drew Garabo. So I was listening to Drew Garabo's show over there in Orlando as I was closing up my store late one night. And they were doing this ridiculous thing. I don't know if it was something they did all the time or if they just happened to be doing it that night, but they were doing this ridiculous bit where they wanted people to call in, and you had to try to stump them. So the whole bit was you give them an animal and a fruit or vegetable, and then they would guess what the combination of the two was. So for instance, you would call up and say a snake and a banana, and they would go, bananaconda, right? So the idea was to come up with a combination, but give them the two things that made the combination, and they had to guess what the combination was. And your goal as the caller was to try to stump them. And I had a moment of genius or idiocy, and I came up with what I thought was a pretty good one, and I thought, let me try and call real quick. And so here I am in my store in a dark mall in the middle of the night, and I called, and I actually got through. And so I stumped them. I stumped them with the most ridiculous thing in the world. It was so the two clues that I gave them were an avocado and a rooster. And they were legit mad. They were mad at me that they couldn't figure it out. But the combination was guacamole. So I won tickets to Universal Studios Mardi Gras. This was back when Mardi Gras was still new. It was only like the second or third year that they had done it. And so I won a pair of tickets to Universal Studios Mardi Gras for coming up with that ridiculous combination and stumping Drew Garabo and the rest of the DJs. And then you got entered into the grand prize, which was you get to bring 10 of your friends, you get to ride on the float, and you get what they called Universal Script, $200 of Universal Script. So it was basically money that you could only spend at the theme park, right? Well, I got my 2 tickets, didn't even think about it. And then I was changing jobs. So this is when I transitioned from Garden Botanica to Hot Topic, actually. And I was in Colorado. I was in Denver for like 2 or 3 weeks training for Hot Topic. And I come home, and on my answering machine, this is how long ago it was, I had like an actual answering machine. And I'm playing the messages, and I hear like, "Hi, this is so-and-so from 104.1. We're calling to let you know that you won the grand prize." So Cockamole won me the grand prize of being able to take 10 people with me to Universal Studios, attend Universal Mardi Gras. Some of us got to ride on one of the floats and throw out beads and the whole 9 yards. I was able to buy my parents dinner. And then I got $200 worth of Universal money to spend. And I went and spent it on ridiculous stuff like a space pen and monster memorabilia. And this clapboard. So this clapboard is one of the things I bought with my earnings. And I have used it in videos over the years. It's always in my office. And sometimes I'll write like little pretend films. Or if I'm working on a big course, when I've done sales courses in the past, I use this to help sort of guide my place while I'm recording videos for courses and things. So all because I was bored closing my retail store, and I called and came up with a stupid challenge and stumped the DJs, and I won a grand prize that got me and my friends a great night and also fun money to spend at Universal Studios. And this memorabilia has made it with me all that time. So kids, don't be afraid to call the DJ and come up with something stupid. Maybe you too will end up with a corny piece of memorabilia that you can talk about in a video one day.